Rain lashed against the windshield of a gleaming black Mercedes as it wound its way down a winding, muddy country road. Nathaniel Reed, a 52-year-old self-made millionaire, gritted his teeth and adjusted the knot in his designer tie. His day had started early with high-stakes meetings, phone calls, and back-to-back appointments in the city. But now, late in the evening and with no signal, he found himself rerouted through the countryside thanks to highway construction. The constant buzzing of his phone had finally ceased, because the battery had died. Now, the only sound was the steady rhythm of rain and the occasional crack of thunder. The engine stuttered once, then again, before falling completely silent. Nathaniel slammed his hand against the steering wheel. "You've got to be kidding me," he muttered. He checked his phone, dead. Outside, the rain pounded harder. With no umbrella, he opened the car door and stepped into a puddle. His expensive shoes were instantly soaked. Scanning the area, he noticed a faint glow in the distance, a farmhouse with a flickering porch light. Mud clung to his slacks as he trudged toward it. Each step felt heavier, more frustrating. He was supposed to be in a hotel tonight with a glass of whiskey, reviewing reports, not splashing through cow fields. He finally reached the porch and knocked. The door creaked open. A woman in her mid-40s, wearing a flannel shirt and jeans, stood in the doorway. Her reddish-brown hair was tied back in a loose braid, and her face held both weariness and kindness. "Car trouble?" she asked, voice calm. Nathaniel gave a short nod. "Yes. I just need to call for a tow. My phone's dead. Storm knocked out the phone lines. But you can come in and wait. Got a fireplace going." He paused. Everything in him resisted. But the chill creeping into his bones left him little choice. "I'm Maggie," she added, stepping aside. "Nathaniel," he said, walking into the warm home. He looked around, noting the handmade quilts, shelves filled with books, and the crackling fireplace. Then he froze. Above the mantel hung a photograph. A teenage boy stared back at him, smiling, his face eerily familiar. Same hazel eyes. Same strong jawline. Next to him stood Maggie, one arm draped lovingly around the boy's shoulder. Nathaniel couldn't look away. Maggie returned from the kitchen with 2 steaming mugs of tea. Nathaniel gestured toward the photo. "Who's the boy?" She glanced at it and sat down. "Lucas. My son." He squinted. "He looks a lot like me." She nodded slowly. "Because he is." Nathaniel's world tilted. "That's not possible." Maggie sighed. "We met 20 years ago. I worked as a secretary at your father's company. You were ambitious, charming, and kind, at least back then. We had a brief relationship. Nothing serious. I didn't tell you when I found out I was pregnant. You were gone by then, transferred to another branch. I didn't want to burden you." "You should have told me," Nathaniel said quietly. "What would you have done?" "I wanted to raise him in peace. I never wanted your money." He looked around the modest house. Everything was clean but worn. "It doesn't look like peace found you." "It did, for a long time." Lucas was a happy, curious kid. Smart, too. But he always wanted to know about his father. I kept your name from him as long as I could. Until he was 16 and found a box of old letters. Nathaniel leaned in. Letters. Love letters. From you. I saved them. He knew something was missing, and the letters filled in the blanks. 2 months ago, he left for the city to find you. I haven't heard from him since. A lump formed in Nathaniel's throat. I had no idea. You weren't meant to. He stood. We're going to find him. Maggie's eyes welled up. Why do you suddenly care? Because he's my son. And because I don't want to miss any more of his life. The storm passed the next day. Nathaniel had his car towed to the nearest garage, but he stayed on Maggie's farm. He cancelled meetings, postponed events, and for the first time in years, cleared his calendar. Together, they retraced Lucas's steps. They found a bus driver who remembered a boy matching Lucas's description. He'd gone to the city and stayed in a shelter. From there, his trail had gone cold. Nathaniel used every resource at his disposal, called detectives, hospitals, shelters. He pulled favors from people who owed him. Still, days passed with no sign. Maggie began to lose hope. Then, one evening, a volunteer at a youth shelter remembered a boy named Lucas who talked about finding his dad. He hadn't been seen in days, but he was last spotted near the docks. Nathaniel and Maggie drove there immediately. The harbor was filled with makeshift tents and homeless camps. They walked for hours, searching faces. Then Maggie stopped. Under a ripped tarp, curled up on a piece of cardboard, was a frail boy. She stepped closer. Lucas. He stirred, blinking up at her. Mom. She rushed forward and cradled him. Nathaniel stood frozen. Lucas had sunken cheeks and bruises on his arms, but there was no doubt, it was him. Lucas looked past Maggie. Who's that? Your father. Lucas's eyes narrowed. Took you long enough. Nathaniel stepped forward, tears in his eyes. I'm sorry. I didn't know. But I'm here now. And I'm not leaving again. Lucas was taken to the hospital. He was malnourished but stable. Maggie never left his side. Nathaniel made sure Lucas had a private room and the best care possible. Over the following weeks, Nathaniel tried to bond with his son. Lucas kept his distance at first, but slowly, the walls began to fall. Maggie watched it all with cautious hope. Nathaniel stayed in town. He bought new clothes for Lucas, brought meals, and sat beside him during checkups. He told stories about his youth, about regrets, and about how empty success feels without someone to share it with. One day, Lucas finally said, "I thought you didn't care." Nathaniel replied, "I didn't know you existed. But now that I do, I'm not going anywhere." When Lucas was strong enough to leave the hospital, Nathaniel offered to move them into a new house in the city. Maggie shook her head. "We're happy here. The farm is home." Instead of insisting, Nathaniel helped restore the farm. He hired workers to fix the barn, added solar panels, and built a greenhouse. He even bought Maggie a new truck. It wasn't about money anymore, it was about showing up. Years passed. Lucas went to college, studying environmental science. He graduated with honors and returned to the farm to transform it into a sustainable resource center. It became a place for troubled youth to work, learn, and heal. Nathaniel retired and bought a small cottage on the edge of the property. He grew vegetables, took up woodworking, and joined Maggie and Lucas for dinner every Sunday. One evening, they sat on the porch, watching the sun set behind golden fields. Lucas smiled. Funny how a broken car changed everything. Nathaniel chuckled. Best breakdown of my life. They clinked glasses of lemonade. The past was behind them, the future full of promise. In that quiet corner of the world, where crops grew and hearts healed, they found what they didn't even know they were missing: family. The end.